All right, hello everyone. I've been trying to make this video for like the past 15 minutes. If I was talking weird at the beginning, there is because there was an echo, but I just got rid of that. I have never made a video like this before. I generally like to write out my ideas about things like this, because when it comes to art, that's a sensitive space, and I like to give respect to other people's art. And I still give respect to this piece of art, but one, I am just writing many other things. I'm honestly not writing some things that I want to be writing because I'm writing other things. And so, also on this day, you were probably going to receive the first installation of my essay series that I've been working on, Bittersweet. But I more stuff is getting added to the first essay. It's like something that is continuously growing as I make it, and so I have some last minute additions that I won't be able to finish before when this releases, and so I'm giving you this instead of that. And so what is this? It's not really an album review. It is my thoughts about the parts of the album that are on my mind the most. Let me just let you know that I am filming this Friday night, so this album dropped last night, Thursday, and I was on the phone with one of my best friends, Peter. Shout out Peter. And we listened. We got off the phone to listen to the album, but we were listening at the same time. And he is a very big J. Cole fan, and I listened to the whole album by the end of last night. And so I've listened to this album not all the way through multiple times. I'll talk about why, but I've listened to all of it through all the way through once. And I've listened to different songs again and again, different reactions, whatever. And it's basically gotten me to this place where I have to say something. One, because as I watch all these reactions and stuff, I agree with some, I disagree with some, but no one's really talking about the aspect of the album that I really want to talk about. And part of the reason why is because J. Cole is so respected. Nobody wants to come out, especially immediately. I don't even really like when people come out immediately and start sharing this album. This is good, this is bad. Which is why I also want to open up and say, this is not like, I like J. Cole. This is going to be a J. Cole hater video, unfortunately, because that just has to be what the topic is. But he is an incredible rapper, but that's part of the issue. But we'll get to that. And so I want to come out with this video to share my thoughts on why The Fall Off is a bad album. And I am someone who loves albums. I don't really like to listen to singles because I like to listen to those singles as part of full bodies of work. When new artists are emerging, I don't listen to that many singles. I might listen to one here or there, but I very much respect and enjoy the experience of a full album and the craft of putting together an album and how it can tell a story. I mean, I'm a reader, a writer. Of course, stories are what draws me in. And what the fuck is the story of The Fall Off? It's this album that J. Cole has been working on for 10 years. Okay, and again, this is not a hate thing. Like, I actually, what I was originally going to say is The Fall Off is a bad album with good songs. And so, like, a lot of people that I talk about music with don't feel the same way that I feel about albums, because they're like, I like this song. And so it was a good album to me. And like, for me, I'm like, yes, but how many out of the whole, where were they on the album, and what does the album mean? And the whole story of the Fall Off album of J. Cole is he's been working on this album for 10 years, and it's all about the concept of how you can never stay at the top of your game. Like, whenever you whatever goes up must come down, to really simplify it. And this is an album that he concepted way before the 2024 rap battle, the big three, everything. And another thing, like a huge point of contention right now with J. Cole releasing the album, the first album since all of that, a lot of people are like, stop holding him to that moment, blah, 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 blah. He's holding himself to that moment. And why not hold people to the moment of history? Like, there's such a tiptoeing around acknowledging a fact. And it's a fact that is all over this album and the actual what you get as story from the album, as opposed to what is the presented story. Because for an album that is supposed to be the culmination of his career, giving you a sense of who he is and telling the story of where he came from and where he's gone and what that whole cycle means, as has been given by the little teasers and snippets that he's released in the lead up to the album, talking about how, you know, everyone that reaches the top will always have to be replaced, like that the people desire a replacement, and they'll always just say, oh, he fell off, oh, he's no longer part of this or that. And so I really want him to dig into what's at the heart of that dynamic. Be like, you know, the art that I created might have been reminiscent of what these people felt at a certain time, and now that being reminded of that art at an older age is something that makes them uncomfortable, because they're encountering a past self of theirs. And, you know, like, do something artistic or interesting with this idea. And the way the album is prospectively structured is it's a 2-disc album, which the first disc, or he came out with something saying that the second disc of this album was essentially concepted of after the battle, the 2024 battle. So again, there's no way you can't bring this up. It's a concept for a whole half of the freaking album. But he's saying how a lot of it came after the battle, and so a lot of it touches upon his thoughts around that. But the structure of the album is said to be, the first part is called Disc 29, and the second part is Disc 39, and the idea is prospectively that the first one is like his mindset of when he's 29, and the second disc is when he's older at 39. And one of the lead singles, what is maybe the best track on the whole album, Fall Off is Inevitable, is the second track on the second disc, which is, in my opinion, by far the best disc. But in it, he is rapping about his life in retrospect, and he is actually like rapping it backwards. So like even the imagery is happening in reverse, and it's a very cool and conceptual track. It has a lot of hard-hitting one-liners. It is a masterpiece in lyricism. But this track is kind of like everything that my issue with J. Cole and this album, it was not everything, but like the core of it. What does it mean though, J. Cole? Like, he details this beautiful story, and then at the end of the song, his body reverts from being a baby, and it goes back into the heaven. So he completes the cycle of life. But what does that cycle mean about life to you? You know, like he's talking about how everything that goes up must come down, but the whole album, and even in the Birthday Blizzard mixtapes and everything that led up to it, he's talking about how he never left the top. And so it's like, is everything that goes up must come down? And like, is there something beautiful about that process? Or are you denying that process and saying that you never fell off? And you did. And Like, he has lines all over this thing that he'll say, like, they try to put a noose on my neck and shit. And it's like, who did that, J. Cole? Like, you backed out of the battle. Some people are taking shots at you and making jokes and stuff, but a lot of people, in fact, the reason why so many people are so forgiving are like, hey, like, just move on from that. Like, just leave that alone. And it's like, why? If you think that the respectable thing to do was to back out of the battle, why should we stop talking about it? Like, he talks about how he'll destroy any rapper. So it's like, what do you believe in? There's something beautiful to say about the story of, you know, of peace, of taking the bigger route. And it's not told here because you don't. And you don't want to be the bigger person. You just want to no longer have that stain on you without actually ever having to do anything to prove that you're the best, aside from talking to the air and doing lyrical gymnastics that at the end of the day don't mean anything. Listening to this album, there were so many moments where I was like, the sounds are good and he's rapping good, but I start to zone out because he, like, nothing about what he's saying means anything. Even though it's like telling a story or is expressing a sentiment, he doesn't he only half steps to something and leaves the audience to infer everything, which is kind of the whole problem with backing out of the battle. It's like you just won't make a commitment, and it's this edging feeling throughout, and you can't do this on your magnum opus final album that you have been building up. The reason why I really had to make this video, why I could not sleep, was because for an artist to make an artistic statement, he has been building this album up for years. I don't understand why it's unacceptable of me to expect greatness, like much more from him, because he's an extremely great rapper. But this is the secret of hip hop. Extremely great rappers are actually dime a dozen. They're just not popular. And so J. Cole being rappity rap doesn't mean as much to me because I listen to rappity rap people, you know? I listen to Ransom. I listen to a lot of people that just love Black Thought in them, that, you know, be doing all these crazy illusions and shit. Like, what do all these literary devices actually serve? And when you have like 4-minute tracks, 5-minute tracks, it's like, I can't be so captivated with you just doing these lyrical gymnastics and stuff and that be enough. And so I popped this on because I did not have an actual structure for this video. This is my first time ever trying something like this, but I did write some notes because there were some parts that, like, I just felt like I had to bring up because it feels important. Because when I said that it's a bad album, this album has an identity crisis. And I think that's because Cole has an identity crisis. And I think his inability to reconcile with what he wants out of rap and how he actually feels about rap is the real story here. And if he delved into that, I would love it. Like, I don't need him to be talking his shit and to say he's the best. If he was actually delving into the roots of emotion and the depths of his thinking as to why he went through what he went through, or just his life in general, just telling where he came from and like the intricacies of what makes him as a person tick, I would say he's the best, because I would be like, nobody is doing that. But what he does instead is serve raps that anybody can agree with. Like he has a lot of love songs on this, and they're just all surface level bars about love that like anybody could make. When he's making a track prospectively about the woman that he's been with for years, who he has multiple kids with, like I don't feel the depth of emotion in many of these tracks, where it's just like, it feels like most of his tracks he be just making it so like the everyman can rap it and feel like it's their story. When it's like, okay, but what is your story though, J. Cole? Like, go deeper. But I'm digressing. Let me oh yeah. The other part is, with a lot of the people that I see getting backlash for critiquing Cole on this album, a lot of the critique is like, man, you guys are looking too deep. You guys just don't want to like listen to how good the music is. You're just like reading into his words and trying to attach to the battle and everything. And I'm like, J. Cole is a lyricist. And a lyricist means that the words that you are putting together are intricate and have meaning. Like a lot of times we can lose the have meaning part. And so I hate when like I do the greatest thing an artist could want is for you to look at their art and delve into the meanings and little intricacies and stuff that they hid in it. And I'll reiterate, this album has great rapping. It's kind of like a capital H well, actually it's a capital R rap album, where it's just like it has the samples, the R&B joints, the boom bap joints. He be going to like different eras. Again, kind of like the identity crisis of this album. It like, even the sounds jump around. There are certain sounds that are very like quintessentially J. Cole music, but there are sounds that like he's clearly shooting for someone else's music, like 2-6. While I was listening to 2-6, Peter, because like I said, he was listening to it at the same time, he immediately texted me. He was like, yo, this sound like Drake. And I was like, oh yeah, it does. And then Bombs in the Ville hit the gas. Like, what is this? It sounds like a Cash Cobain song. Like what is happening? For this to be your magnum opus, like this is not just some random record. Like it confuses me how some of these records ended up on this project. But let me not get too waylaid. I have no clue how long this video will be, but I'm gonna just go until I get my thoughts out. Oh, the other thing is, he has a line either on this project or on the Birthday Blizzard leading up to, I think it's on this project, where he interpolates Kendrick saying, motherfuckers say they miss back when hip hop was rapping. Motherfucker, if you did, Killer Mike would be platinum, or some shit like that. And he reinterpolates it to say, if real hip hop was back, JID would be platinum, which is a false equivalency, because Kendrick is saying if people truly wanted real hip hop back, like the people complaining about real hip hop, they would listen to the real hip hop that is out, like Killer Mike. Where J. Cole is saying that, it feels like he's saying that in order for there to be proof that hip hop is currently back, JID would be platinum, which is a false equivalency. One, because I fucking love JID. JID is my favorite person from Dreamville by far. One of the things that I actually thought, and then I heard someone else say while they were listening to this, was God Does Like Ugly is a better album than this. And I thought that while I was getting to the end of the second disc, because I was like, yo, that, even as sporadic as that album can be sometimes, it's so cohesive in its sound and its themes, which this one is not at all. And part of the reason why, like, part of J. Cole building all this anticipation, JID on his Sun track from God Does Like Ugly, he was talking about how he was hanging out with J. Cole, and J. Cole played the Fall Off, and that shit was banging. And then he's like, motivation, let me know I got some more to make it. So he's like saying, yo, like, the Fall Off was so crazy that it let me know how much further I have to go in my career, and like the things I have to work on as an artist. And I'm like, really? Because you have the better album in this instance, even though I there are clearly areas that J. Cole is better at than JID. That's not what I'm saying. But with that said, and then J. Cole mentioning him on his album, and like, there's a long time been a discussion about how little Dreamville promotes JID. And so say JID, if Real Hip Hop was back, JID would be platinum. Is like, you have a hand in that. Like, you could do more. And then JID bubbling up this album so much as me, like, being a fan, and then hearing this shit, I'm like what? Okay. All of this is stuff that I just have to get off my chest, but I'm not even getting to the meat and potatoes, because there are a couple key tracks. I also feel bad for J. Cole. J. Cole, I don't think, he says it multiple times on this album, and he actually says it in the single that he released, The Fall Off is Inevitable, where he says a line about how he lost, sometimes the inspiration was rare and in spurts. And there's a content creator that I love. His name is Charles Brown. He's a rapper, commentator, whatever. And he was like, that says a lot. And I was like, I think that's a harsh criticism, because like, it's hard to find inspiration in the world for all artists, to feel inspired. Like, that's always the goal. But for how much he talks about his loss of inspiration and his disillusionment with hip hop, and then that paired with the way that he's talking about hip hop, it just feels like someone who has a lot of bad blood with hip hop right now, which is fair, like, to have your gripes, but like, the energy is just bad. So let me get into it a little bit. So let me talk about this track called I Love Her Again, which is one of my favorite tracks on the album. But I think it shows his feelings about hip hop more than he tells it. And so in this track, he anthropomorphizes hip hop as a woman. This woman that he was chasing all his life and everything. And then eventually he gets her. And then after he gets her, he kind of puts her to the side. And it comes to this point in the track where he's talking about the battle. And he's talking about how, like, when he was with her, she was telling him, like, you're the best. But then he came to find out he was telling these other dudes the same thing. And so, like, he was like, he's kind of anthropomorphizing hip hop as unfaithful here to him, which is like, no one owes you that you will be the top spot. That isn't the same as being loved, and all that qualifies that spot is you claiming it, like, to make it like this spurned lover type of thing, where it's like, oh, you told me I was your favorite, but here you were telling them to. That's hip hop saying that to Kendrick and Drake is literally their own self-belief saying it to themselves. No one else, like, hip hop, the love that hip hop has given Drake and Kendrick, you have gotten. I don't know what you're talking about. It's so self-victimhood in a way that's so unnecessary, because again, if you think you did the honorable thing, then you're not a victim. You released a diss track. You dissed somebody. You're the one that dissed. And then you took it back, apologized because you said that was the realest shit to do. And talking about apology, the track After I Love Her Again is a track called What If. And in this track, he is talking about a alternate reality. He's talking from the perspectives of Tupac and Biggie. He's talking about an alternate reality where after Tupac got shot, Biggie wrote him a letter, and that prevented the fallout between them. And it's all supposed to be a juxtaposition between that situation and the 2024 rap battle, which is like so ridiculous because one, he keeps calling Drake and Kendrick my homies. And it's like, if you want to say that they were both your friends, that's fine. But the way he keeps framing it is as if they were all buddies. And Drake and Kendrick hated each other, have hated each other. And the battle didn't even have to get as dirty as it did. And it didn't get that dirty until you had already backed out. So what are you talking about? Like, I hate how skilled J. Cole is, because I feel he's using his powers for evil. He is using his pen to pen beautiful stories that are factually inaccurate. And for this to be an album that is you reflecting over your life and the story of what you mean to hip hop, I feel like you let yourself down, bro. Like, you could have written yourself in as the guy who doesn't need to fight someone in order to claim a spot as the greatest. You know, like I could say that Ka is the greatest rapper. I don't know if he's ever done a rap battle ever, but he spoke real shit, and his music continues to speak real shit, and it's so poetic and deep. He never had to defeat somebody in a rap battle for me to think that. But if he went into a battle, dissed someone, took the diss back, and then came back saying, yo, I'm the best, I'll destroy anybody on the mic, and then also I'm the best because I'll apologize, and there's nothing wrong with apologizing, and you guys are wrong for thinking that I shouldn't have apologized, even though I'll never apologize because I'm the best, and I jumped down from the top so I could hit the bottom and restart, but I never stopped. And it's like what is happening? It's such a confusing album, and I'm incensed because J. Cole, the reason why real, like, the quote unquote, like, real hip hop is using kid gloves with him right now is because of what he represents, which is underground, boom bappy, lyricist hip hop in the mainstream. But I would argue that if you get to the point where you are just rappity rapping and you are no longer speaking about anything, and that gets to the mainstream, are you really carrying hip hop there? Especially if you are rewriting hip hop in order to do it. Like, the issue between Biggie and Tupac was not equatable to what happened in 2024 in any respect, as far as violence, as far as prior relationships to each other. Like, it's to make that equivalency as to why you would, and it's to make that equivalency without actually making the equivalency, because all you do is say things in half steps. So everything has to be inferred. And that's what's so frustrating, is because people get to say, don't think that deep about it, because I can't prove what you're saying. That goes for most of J. Cole disses. Like, his Simba diss. Simba released an entire quote unquote diss track. It's a respectable diss track. It's actually a really, really good track. It's called Father Figure. I recommend that it's Simba with a Y. But because J. Cole calls himself Simba, he had a line on one of the Blizzard Birthday Blizzard mixtape tracks, that was talking shit about Simba because Simba says some a slick line about him in a freestyle. But like, I'm sure if you ever ask J. Cole, he'd be like, I didn't say anything. And it's like, all you're gonna do are these little half steps, and it makes it so like I can't enjoy the music because like it means nothing to me. Like there's so much music. I'm someone who listens to a lot of music, so I can understand if like you're a J. Cole fan and you like the sound of his voice, the beats that he picks and all that, and you're like, great, I have more music for me to live with. But like, I am constantly listening to new music, and 2 hours of music that is effectively like so little as far as depth, that was built up for so long, that you simultaneously say this is my magnum opus but also don't take it too seriously. It's too frustrating, man. Like, it's too frustrating. So I just needed to get this off my chest and say that J. Cole's album, there are good tracks, there are some great tracks, there's some great rapping, and if you just want to listen to capital R rap music, I would say this is a great track, a great album for you. And then even like sonically, I have a note here or there, but like it's a good album. I get to say it's a bad album because even though it's better than a lot of albums that other people would make, I'm talking about J. Cole. I'm talking about the context of his life. I'm talking about what he claimed to be putting out. I'm talking about what he offered to the world, and I'm saying this is a bad album. Worse than it being a bad album because of the sound of it, it's a bad album because of the thought behind it or the emotion it gives off. And he claimed this was his final album. I can't imagine it. I cannot imagine it, especially after what I feel like I feel like he loves hip hop too much to not listen to hip hop talk about this album, and there's no way that hip hop is gonna be jumping with this album. I can already tell. And so those are my thoughts on this. Love you, J. Cole. I hope you have great success with this album. If you come here and your tickets aren't too expensive, I might even come through. But yeah, this album was bad, and I was disappointed. And I had to vent this here. I literally got off my job, came here to my home, and had some technical difficulties. I hope the sound is fine. And I just had to say this because I could not, there are very few people I can talk at length about hip hop with, and then that also hold the views that I hold. Not because I need someone to hold my views, but I'm approaching half an hour here, and I'm not trying to go back and forth with someone and like eat through my feelings and having to prove why I think this bar is about this. Like, I'm just trying to get my thoughts out, and there's nobody that I can talk at about hip hop except for here, especially since a lot of people in my close life probably aren't gonna watch this video, so I can just talk about J. Cole and shit a bit on this album without poisoning the well, because I wish him well. And there are good songs, so if you want to give it a listen, go ahead. But I would say The Off Season is a better album than this. But anyway, peace. Hopefully soon the Bittersweet essays will be coming out. It's a goal of mine to release the first one, the intro essay, Sankofa, before February is up, because I can't let Black History Month pass without releasing the beginning of my project about blackness. you know? And so before February is up, you will get the first installation. But I'll see you soon. Peace.